Welcome to today's Tuesday, April 5th regular commission meeting here at Baldwin County. Today we have the honor to have Reverend Jason Hughes of Southside Baptist Church present us with our invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Sheriff Hossmack. Thank you. Please stand.
Heavenly Father God, we come to you today, giving you the praise and the glory for this opportunity to come to do your business here in the city of Bay Minette, the county of Baldwin County. We give you the praise and glory, God, as we prepare for this Easter season, remembering the sacrifice that you made for so many of us, God. And we give you the praise and the glory. I pray that everything that is done here is in a peaceful manner with wisdom from you, and that everything we do will glorify you. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioners, before us is the adoption of the March 15th, 2022 regular meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adopt the minutes for March the 15th, 2022, regular meeting.
And I'll second that.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Gruber, a second by Commissioner Davis to approve the March 15th, 2022 regular meeting minutes. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All right. Commissioners, next on our agenda is the consent agenda. I will note for item BA3, there was a correction made to the date. The date was correct, it's the year was wrong. So instead of May 30, 2021, the correct date is May 30, 2022. That is item BA3. And with our consent agenda, that is the only correction that we needed to notate. Commissioners, do I have a motion?
Motion.
A second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Underwood, a second by Commissioner Gruber to approve our consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. So, Commissioners, now we're to our proclamations. We're going to go down here to the podium, and Carjetta's going to help us out with this, and we'll all go down to the podium while all these proclamations are being read and pictures. So, guys, just bear with us a little bit. We've got a few proclamations this morning that we're going to come up and distribute out to all these wonderful individuals here today. The first up is going to be 911. We got representative from 911, Deputy Director Dan Wright, and whoever's receiving this, y'all come up. She's going to hand you that. Okay. I'll get around and hold that one. This proclamation is proclaiming April 10th through 16th, 2022 as National Communications Officers Week in Baldwin County, Alabama, whereas the second week of April is dedicated to the men and women who serve as public safety telecommunications specialists, providing invaluable service to law enforcement personnel throughout the county and in Baldwin County, Alabama. And whereas telecommunications were first recognized nationwide in the Contra Costa County Sheriff's Office in 1991, and whereas in the early 1990s, the National Association of Public Safety Communications Officials received from the United States Congress a proclamation through the Resolution 284 to create National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. And whereas over 500,000 telecommunications specialists provide professional services to first responders throughout the United States, and whereas the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office receives invaluable and crucial services provided by 19 communication officers, and whereas the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office Communications Divisions receives approximately 100,000 calls for service each year, and whereas Baldwin County 911 receives an additional 140,000 911 calls for services each year for fire, medical, law enforcement-related emergencies. Therefore, be it proclaimed by the Baldwin County Commission and the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office that the week of April 10th through the 16th, 2022 is hereby designated as Telecommunicators Communication Officers Week in Baldwin County, Alabama. I would also like the sheriff's staff to come up here as well. Cargetta, will you hand that to those guys as well? Communications from the sheriff's office. This is all one big happy communications family up here. So. Let me put this one. We're gonna all go over here.
All right, stay in line, don't get out of place. You like the teachers do. Do like that. There we go.
If y'all want to stick around, y'all can, because I'm sure after we get through, we're going to vote on these proclamations, and then commissioners may want to say something about each one of these, okay? The next up, if I could have the correctional staff come up. This proclamation is proclaiming May 1st through the 7th, 2022 as National Corrections Officers Week in Baldwin County, Alabama. Whereas on May 5th, 1984, Ronald Reagan, the 40th President of the United States, delivered a proclamation designating the first week in May as National Corrections Officers Week. And whereas the staff members who serve in that position of correctional officers, whether civilian or security staff, are essential to the day-to-day operations of the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office Correction Center. And whereas the Congress of the United States has recognized the essential services provided by all corrections officers in the United States of America, and whereas the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office employs 120 correctional officers, and whereas the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office correctional officers oversees the safety and security of approximately 600 inmates on a daily basis, and whereas the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office Correction Center processes approximately 13,000 inmates being booked in or booked out of the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office Correction Center on an annual basis. Therefore, be it proclaimed by the Baldwin County Commission in regular assembly session, the week of May 1st through the 7th, 2022 is hereby designated the National Correctional Officers Week in Baldwin County, Alabama. We're going to get a picture of that. See why we're staying on the floor today.
Get your steps.
Same realm of things, law enforcement officers. You going to speak second this one? Come on up, come on up, man. Y'all come back.
Yes, sir. Good seeing you.
All right, so we've got another proclamation proclaiming May 15th through the 21st, 2022 as National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Week in Baldwin County, Alabama. Whereas the President of the United States of America recognized the week of May 15th as National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Week, and whereas law enforcement officers who have been killed or died in the line of duty deserve to be remembered and honored each year, and whereas the work of law enforcement officers is essential to preserving peace in our communities, ensuring the safety of precious lives and property, and whereas the families of those who have suffered the loss of law enforcement officers are forever recognized and honored for their loss. And whereas the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office has lost the following deputy sheriffs who were killed in the line of duty. Deputy Abram Johnson, end of watch, December 26, 1881. Deputy James Stewart, end of watch, April 11th, 1895. And Deputy Howard Dutton, end of watch, October 1st, 1987. And Deputy Scott Ward, end of watch, November 23rd, 2012. And Deputy Bill Smith, end of watch, June 6, 2021. Whereas the Law Enforcement Officers Memorial for Baldwin County is located in Robertsdale, Alabama, and has affixed upon the names of all 10 law enforcement officers who have been killed in the line of duty in Baldwin County. Therefore, be it proclaimed by the Baldwin County Commission in regular session assembled that the week of May 15th through the 21st, 2022 is hereby designated as Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Week in Baldwin County, Alabama. The Baldwin County Commission and the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office extends its most heartfelt gratitude and eternal appreciation for those who have made the ultimate sacrifice, gone beyond the full measure, and have given not only their personal lives, but also have caused hardship upon their families doing so. Thank you, Sheriff, and thank you to all your staff. All right, next proclamation that we have is proclamation recognizing Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month and Sexual Assault Prevention and Awareness Month. Would those participants please come here? Good morning.
Good morning.
How are y'all? All right, this proclamation is proclaiming the month of April 2022 as Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month and Sexual Assault Prevention and Awareness Month in Baldwin County, Alabama. Whereas preventing child abuse and neglect in a community problem that depends on involvement from people throughout the community, and whereas children deserve the best we have within us, and they look to us to be their protectors, role models, and heroes. And whereas children who are loved and nurtured to grow up, to love and nurture others, and whereas children who survive abuse and neglect may carry the burden of their maltreatment into childhood and adulthood, and whereas children who have been the victims of abuse and neglect are more likely to suffer from substance abuse, depression, learning disabilities, academic failure, emotional and behavioral disorders, and the inability to foster healthy relationships. And whereas child maltreatment knows no social or economic boundaries and occurs in every neighborhood in America. And whereas National Child Abuse Prevention Month is a month-long observance during which communities and organizations raise awareness about the critical issues of child abuse and neglect and educate the public in prevention. And whereas according to the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, every 68 seconds an American is sexually assaulted, and every 9 minutes that victim is a child, and only 25 out of every 1,000 perpetrators will end up in prison. And whereas only 310 out of every 1,000 sexual assaults are reported to police, meaning more than 2 out of 3 go unreported. And whereas according to the U.S. FBI crime report, 2,068 rapes were reported last year. And whereas the most important thing that we can do for our victims is believe them and support them. And whereas National Sexual Assault Awareness Month seeks to raise awareness, find solutions, and foster community involvement, as well as to remember survivors of sexual assault and offer tribute to all victims of sexual assault throughout America each year. And whereas the effects of child abuse and neglect and sexual assault are felt by the entire community, requiring all to join together and to take action to create a safer environment for everyone. And whereas the Baldwin County Commission commends the Baldwin County Care House, the Lighthouse, and the Exchange Club Family Center for encouraging all citizens to become more aware of child abuse and neglect and sexual assault within Baldwin County, and for the remaining strong and persistent advocates toward the support of all victims of such terrible acts. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Baldwin County Commission in regular assembly session that the month of April, year 2022 is hereby set aside for Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month and Sexual Assault Prevention and Awareness Month in Baldwin County, Alabama, and everyone is encouraged to join Care House, the Lighthouse, and the Exchange Club Family Center in their collective effort to participate in the prevention of this terrible acts of child abuse and neglect and sexual assault throughout Baldwin County. Before we take a picture, do y'all want to say something? Anybody want to say anything?
I'll say something. For years, I've had the opportunity to come to these meetings and have April proclaimed as Prevention and Awareness Month for Child Abuse in Baldwin County. So we very much thank you all for the support. We cannot do the work that we do at Care House without the support of the community. It takes everybody to be vigilant, to be watchful, to make sure that, we're doing all that we can to take care of our children and keep them safe. So we are very grateful for you all, and we thank you for your continued support.
Yeah, we're still going. We got a couple more. Hey, Sheriff, do you want to say anything about your proclamations real quick? I forgot. I apologize. I didn't include the sheriff in comments on all those that we just did, so I'm going to let him make a few comments.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just be very brief. As you know, we received 3 proclamations today. All of these happened in the spring of the year, right? So I guess we could say we're in proclamation season. But for our telecommunication officers, commonly referred to as communication or dispatchers, as you mentioned, we handle over 100,000 calls a year through our dispatch facility in partnership with 911 and the other municipal dispatchers throughout the county. These ladies and gentlemen do an outstanding job. Our communications officers are the front line because they're the ones that take the initial call. And a lot of times, a lot of the calls that these communication officers take never get referred to an officer or a deputy because they're able to handle them on their own. And so our appreciation does go off. We have Mandy Scott with us today, who's our Director of Communications, recently promoted over the past few months, and is doing an outstanding job at our Communications Center. For our Corrections Officers Week, as you know, our corrections officers, as you said, oversee all the inmates that are here. A high task in today's environment. They made it through COVID with all the challenges that COVID presented to a correctional facility. We did very well. We did not lose one inmate, and we only had 3 inmates that had to be hospitalized over the 2-year period. And their temperance now is being totally tested, not only by the inmates, but by our construction project, which in itself presents a lot of challenges. We appreciate the support of the Commission in helping recognize our corrections officers because they just do a monumental task every day. And finally, the Law Enforcement Memorial Week. We will be traveling to Washington, D.C. On May the 12th. We will have 3 individuals whose names will be put on the National Law Enforcement Memorial in Washington this year. Of course, Deputy Bill Smith, as you mentioned, from the Sheriff's Office, Investigator Richard Humphrey from the District Attorney's Office, and Police Officer Brandon Ard from the Orange Beach Police Department. Names will all be honored on May the 15th in Washington, D.C., and we will also be having our memorial ceremony, I believe, on May the 11th in Robertsdale, where we will recognize their names placed on our law enforcement memorial. So not only do we remember those that have died in the line of duty, and as you have said, Commissioner Ball, given the ultimate sacrifice, but we also take take time to remember the close to 800 men and women in law enforcement in Baldwin County. They serve and protect us very well every day, and I just so much appreciate you taking the time out to show your appreciation. Thank you.
All right, the next up is Confederate History Month. Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing today? Wonderful. Good to see you, sir. Yes, sir. She's going to hand you that.
Okay.
Proclaiming the month of April 2022 as Confederate History Month in Baldwin County, Alabama, whereas it's during the month of April 1861 that the four-year tragic struggle of the American Civil War began at Fort Sumter, South Carolina, and ended at Appomattox, Virginia, and, excuse me, I said that wrong, Appomattox, Virginia, and whereas the men of Baldwin County, Alabama, without hesitation or evasion, enlisted in the service of the state of Alabama and the Confederate States of America, given the service until the end of the conflict. And whereas Baldwin County did provide for the defense of the state of Alabama and the Confederate States of America, numerous military units, including the Baldwin County Rangers, the Baldwin Star Rangers, Company C of the 15th Cavalry, the English Independent Cavalry, and G.E. Hall's militia. And whereas Baldwin County was the scene of some of the last fighting of the war at Blakely, Spanish Fort, and all the way north to the Monroe line. And whereas many of those veterans and their families lie in marked and unmarked graves in every part of Baldwin County. And whereas the descendants of many of these veterans reside in Baldwin County and cherish the tradition of honor, freedom, and love of home and family passed to them by their ancestors, and now therefore be it proclaimed that by the Baldwin County Commissioner in regular assembly session, the Baldwin County Commission hereby proclaims April 2022 as Confederate History Month in Baldwin County, Alabama. Would you like to say a few things?
I would.
Okay.
I would love to.
Certainly.
I asked Chaplain Bill to come up. Bill is the chaplain of both our Sons of Confederate Veterans camp, the Blakely camp, and we meet down in Foley each month. He's also the chaplain for the Military Order of Stars and Bars. We have a chapter, the St. John Richardson Lydell chapter, also meets in Foley. And Bill is also my adjutant. I am the Alabama State Commander for the Military Order of Stars and Bars. I have a little program. I was asked if I would deliver a short program, historical, and I hope this will pique your interest a little bit about our wonderful county. It's going to be the fastest 500 years that you will study, but 500 plus years ago, a small town in Baldwin County, Alabama, was called Eau Rouge. It's also gone by the name of Cliffs of Red, Mount Rose, and is now Montrose. The reason I'm talking about this little place, it's located between Rock Creek and Mobile Bay. It's the highest point on the coast from Mexico to Maine. Aboriginal Indians held powwows and made pottery here from the fine clay. It was a mariner's landmark on Spanish maps in the early 1500s. Given the name of Eau Rouge by the French settlers in the early 1700s, it was used by the British troops in 1701 as a hospital site. In 1809, efforts to establish Baldwin County proved successful. In 1814, Blakely was chartered as the first county seat of the territory of Mississippi. We were Mississippi at that time. In 1819, we finally saw Alabama become a state. It was admitted as the 22nd state of the Union. At this point in history, the United States had already defeated England for the right to form our own United States. We had defeated the helpless Indians, take over of their aboriginal lands. And then the North decided to attack the South. In 1860, the South was the richest part of the nation. Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama were the three wealthiest states. Wow, where'd the money go? They instigated a war against the South, which we're here to honor the people who fought that. At that same time, the fledgling Confederacy did not have a single warship. We had a gentleman by the name of Secretary Mallory, sent a gentleman named Bullock to England to purchase some ships. One of the ships that was built in Liverpool, England, was the CSS Florida. I'm going to jump a little bit forward now. The Florida sailed into, it left Liverpool, it went across the ocean, it hit several ports along the way. The crew caught yellow fever in one of those places. I think it was it was before they got to Cuba. Of the 154 men on the ship, everyone caught yellow fever except 7 people. Even Captain John Maffett, who was the commander of the ship, got the fever. They were in Cuba at the time, and he said, we've got to get medical attention. So he took off, sailed the ship from Cuba to Mobile. He was unable to, he had to run through the Union blockade at Fort Morgan, Fort Gaines. His crew could not even fight back. They just sailed through. The ship was hit multiple times. One seaman was decapitated by a shell. They entered the port. They entered Mobile Bay, but the city of Mobile refused to let them enter because of fear that they would spread the yellow fever. So they were instructed to anchor off of Montrose. They took the dead seamen and the several people who had perished from the yellow fever ashore, buried them in Montrose Cemetery. In 2013, I was fulfilling a photo request for a group called Find a Grave. It was for a gentleman who was in Montrose Cemetery. Well, while I was there looking for that grave, I came across a small stone just about that big. It was almost complete. It was lying flat on the ground, almost completely covered with grass. I uncovered it. It said, "The grave of a seaman." That was where the headstone should have been. At the other end of the grave, it was standing upright. It simply stated 1862. Directly in front of that grave was a well-marked grave in a little iron fence, and it had Lieutenant John Maxwell Stribling. And it was the same dates, 1862. So that piqued my curiosity. I started researching. I found that Lieutenant Stribling had been on the CSS Florida. I found out that the Florida had in fact sailed into Mobile Bay on September the 4th, 1862. I obtained a copy of the deck log from the CSS Florida, and lo and behold, I found that Seaman James Duncan had been decapitated by a shell. I now knew who was buried in that spot where it said the grave of a seaman. That was in 2013. We started our camp, the Fort Blakely chapter of the Sons of Confederate Veterans started taking up donations. We would drop $5, $2, $1, whatever, into a jug at our meetings. When we obtained enough money to purchase a headstone, we did so. On September the 4th, 2016, we had a ceremony at Seaman Duncan's gravesite with almost 75 people in attendance. After 154 years without a headstone marking who was there, and probably he never had a real official ceremony. We conducted one. Since that time, our chapters, both the Sons of Confederate Veterans and the Military Order of Stars and Bars, we have collected through donations enough money, and we have placed 141 more headstones on Confederate, World War I, World War II, Korea. If we find a grave that does not have a military headstone and we can get permission from the cemetery and some descendants, we will purchase a headstone and place it. As I said, we have placed 141 more headstones since we did Duncan, and this year is our 4th year of doing it, and we're working on 50 more headstones. Thank you very much. I appreciate the honor, and thank you.
All right, Commissioners. Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
There you go, sir. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Y'all ready? We got one more. One more. All right, so this is a proclamation is dealing with National Library Week. Who's here for that? Come on, Elizabeth. You're welcome. Do that back there. All right, this is proclaiming April 3rd through the 9th, 2022 as National Library Week in Baldwin County, Alabama. Whereas libraries are accessible and inclusive places that foster a sense of connection and build community, and whereas libraries connect people to technology, provide access to broadcast internet computers and training that are critical for accession education, employment opportunities, and whereas libraries offer opportunities to everyone to connect with new ideas and become their best selves through the access to multimedia content, programs, and classes in addition to books, and whereas today's libraries and their services extend far beyond the four walls of the building, and everyone is welcome to use their resources. And whereas in times of crisis, libraries and library professionals play an invaluable role in supporting their communities both in person and virtually. And whereas libraries strive to develop and maintain programs and collections that are all as diverse as the populations they serve and ensure equity of all access for all. Whereas to adapt to the changing world, libraries are expanding their resources and continue to meet the needs of their patrons. And whereas libraries and librarians and library workers are joining library supporters and advocates across the nation to celebrate National Library Week, now therefore be it proclaimed by the Baldwin County Commission in regular assembly session that the week of April 3rd through the 9th, 2022 is hereby designated as National Library Week, themed Connect with Your Library in Baldwin County, and we encourage all residents to visit the library this week to take advantage of the wonderful resources available. You have a speech?
Not a speech. I just really want to thank you guys for your support. Thanks for your support, without which we wouldn't be able to have done the Wi-Fi hotspots or the nonfiction grant. We added lots and lots of new titles, digitally and physically, new titles for the county. So thanks for your support.
Got my back.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much.
This is your file.
All right, we're done. All right, Commissioners, we will go through these one at a time. Item CA1 was the proclamation dealing with everything that the sheriff had here today, as well as the 911 Center, National Telecommunications, Communication Officers Week, Corrections Officers Week, and National Law Enforcement Memorial Week. Is there a motion to approve those proclamations?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion we approve the proclamations.
And that's for item CA1.
I'll
No,
second.
I've got a second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The next up is item CA2, proclamation that dealt with Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month and Sexual Assault Prevention and Awareness Month. Commissioners, I got a motion for that.
Yes, I'll make a motion that we do CA2, the proclamation for Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month and Sexual Assault Prevention and Awareness Month, April 2022.
I'll second it.
Got a motion by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Underwood to approve item CA2, which is proclamation Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month and Sexual Assault Prevention and Awareness Month. Any discussion on that topic? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Next up is the CA3, proclamation Confederate History Month.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion we approve item number CA3, which is a proclamation for the Confederate History Month of April 2022.
And I'll second that motion.
We got a motion and a second to approve item CA3, Confederate History Month. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The last proclamation we did today was proclaiming it National Library Week, and that's item CA4.
I'll make a motion we approve the proclamation for National Library Week.
I'll second that.
We got a motion and a second by the, to approve item CA4, proclamation National Library Week. Any discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. At this time, Commissioners, would y'all like to say anything about all of those proclamations that we just did? Commissioner Gruber?
Yeah, just thank everyone that was here this morning. You know, we covered several topics, and the people that work with the corrections, you know, that's very important. They do a fantastic job, and they're constantly, you know, they're protecting those people, whether they believe it or not. They're protecting them in incarceration to make sure that, you know, that nothing happens to them. And then we go to the other ones. We had the child abuse. You would not believe how many children are abused in this country. It's a shame. Then we've got a Confederate Memorial Day. You know, that goes back, you know, I can remember when Mr. Burt Blackman used to come here, and he would give us a history lesson like you would not believe.
Yeah, we wouldn't have been standing down there.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
he was very,
We'd have to have
he was
chairs
very
pulled
adamant,
over.
you know, by giving that, and we miss him very much.
That's right.
And then the last one with the library, it's very important, you know, that our children get to use the libraries more than what they do. I mean, you know, nowadays it's all, you know, it's this monster right here. You know, they don't pick up the book and read it anymore. You know, it's the technology, but you know, I think maybe one of these days that'll change, and hopefully it'll get back to doing things. You know, it never hurt you when we were coming up. It didn't hurt you to read a book. So, thank y'all, each and every one of y'all, for what y'all do.
Okay, thank you so much for taking the time to come out today as well. I remember one time, a long time ago, I came up with someone for the town of Summerdale when they did their 100-year, and coming up the Bay Minette, that was my first time to ever even come in this building. So I know some of you have been here before, because I've seen you here before, but if there's anybody that's never been here before, we do thank you for making the journey here. So I'm going to start out with the first proclamations that was on the telecommunicators, communications officers, correctional officers, and law enforcement memorial. That's a lot all in one, and I know there was 4 different ones, but I'm going to start with the 911 dispatchers, because you guys and the sheriff's dispatchers, for those of you who know me, know that recently you guys have an amazing part of helping save people's lives. Somebody that's very near and dear to me, a call was answered around midnight, and that person I don't believe would be here today if it hadn't been for an element of divine intervention and just you guys doing your job. And so what you guys do is amazing. I have a family member who is a communication officer for one of the municipalities, and I know that they go through, you guys go through a lot. You're on the front line. Even though you might not be physically out there, you're mentally there, and for what you guys do is amazing. And I can't even imagine what you guys do in the jail and in the correctional facilities, that what you have to encounter and what you actually go through. But I thank you for that. I do thank you for that, because it's unfortunate that sometimes we have bad people in society and that they have to be incarcerated. But I thank you for taking that job. I appreciate it so much. And as far as the law enforcement memorial, that is always a touching time. I personally can remember when Sheriff Dutton was shot. And so the ones that in my lifetime that have happened, and most recently, the one that passed away last year, and Deputy Ward, those are very touching times. It's great that we can remember that and never, ever forget what they did for our county and the service that they've given to us. I'm just on the first one, I'm sorry, but there was a lot in that first one. The next one, child abuse prevention. Nikki, you guys, there's no excuse for abuse. And I thank you so much for what you guys do. So oftentimes, if you're not directly connected, you may not even know what's going on. Somebody told me the other day, they said, when you think you got issues, everybody's got issues. You just hope that it's not that. But you know what? Thank you for being there, because it just makes you mad. And I'm sure that sometimes you want to just take action, but thankfully that you can help nurture and protect and save these children who are victims. They need advocates, and thank you. Thank you. Confederate History Month. Miss Mary, you guys know I'm tearing up right now because Mr. Beitman's not here today. Oh, okay. As you guys know, you've heard it many, many times already since I've been here in the commission, that he was my history teacher at Summerdale School. No offense, Mr. Shealy, but you'll never be Mr. Blackman, okay? I'm sorry. But we do appreciate it.
We know that. We all miss her.
And National Library Week. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you guys for all the effort that you've made. Libraries are so important. You can travel the world through a book. There are places that I will never get to go as a human being, but I can travel through a book. And the resources that are available through this Wi-Fi hotspot, I recently saw the news report. And for those of you who didn't see the news report and don't know that it's available, we get all kind of complaints about broadband and how that, people can't work from home, or they can't do their kids' schoolwork, and they're having to sit in the parking lot of different Wi-Fi spots out there and everything. And these guys are always on the ball of obtaining grants, and that's a part of what you do, isn't it? Yeah, I know, it's kind of sustainability, right? But at the same time, if you need a Wi-Fi hotspot, get all that out of my mouth at one time, all the libraries, I believe, have some that you can check out. And even if, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I understood right, if you go to one and they don't have one, they can get one maybe from another one because of the interlibrary loan system that you guys do with the courier system. So no excuse for not getting one. You have not if you ask not, and if you got to wait a week or so, I understand, but you know what? I believe you guys have got them out there, and thank you. I look forward to better broadband service in Baldwin County, but until that day comes, thank you. And also, I remember riding my bike to the library and checking out the books and reading the books. And recently, some of the schools have had a Reading Across America program going on, and they've invited some of us and other people to come and read. And I know why people teach school now, because I went to a 3rd grade, and they love you. The little kids love you, you know. In this world we live in, not everybody loves us, I can tell you that much. You know, you can do everything right and somebody's gonna hate you, but it's okay, because you gotta do what you gotta do to serve the people. But my hat's off to school teachers, and I'm too old to start a new career, but I can understand why people wanna be teachers after going in and reading to those children. And then I got to read to some high school students. I read a poem, and every one of those 9th graders were looking at me except for one, and I thought that was, you know what, I have succeeded. I literally had every one of those 9th graders looking at me. Now, one had his head down. He had an issue, I guess. I don't know. Maybe he was sick. We'll leave it at that. But reading, libraries, there is no reason for anybody to not have access to things. Now, I am thankful that I'm not in school anymore, and I don't have to write research papers and have to go to the library. And back in those days, you had that card catalog, and you had those, what are those red books called that you had to do the research? I don't even remember. I don't want to know. It's past, okay? I made it. But thank you guys so much. And that's it. Thanks. They're probably sitting on it. Thank goodness.
When we look at these items listed CA1 through CA5, except for healthcare delivery, these topics touch what makes paradise paradise. And I've referred to Baldwin County as paradise. The people that take care of our kids, the people that communicate, the people that look after our law enforcement people. And I'm very prejudiced. My oldest granddaughter is on the police force in Hoover, Alabama. And she was a beach patrol, she was a jailer, went to the academy, served in Mobile, and is now up in Hoover. So supporting the people that protect us all is a big part of the Davis family life. But I want the people that are watching this live, or maybe watching it in a playback provision, to ask yourself this: is there a way for me to help make paradise better? What do you care about? What do you like? What do you know about? And then you can become part of the great team in this county of employees, of volunteers, and of organizations that make a difference. When you grow as fast as we do, we bring in a lot of good people. But unfortunately, the bad guys follow the good guys. So we're blessed to have a sheriff's department and police departments that know how to do their job, that communicate with not just people in the county, but with the whole law enforcement entity around the country and in the state. So I want every one of you to ask yourself, is there something that I know about or that I'd like to be involved in that could make things better? Because if we all ask that question, then all we have to do is try, and trying is the key. So, Sheriff, for your people, please convey that we appreciate all the little things, because big things don't blow up bad if all the little things get handled. Now, all the little things can't always be handled, but the sooner we can identify a problem, the sooner it can be addressed, and the sooner we can minimize any, quote, damage. So being a part of this team, the four of us happen to be at this level, but where the rubber meets the road's what's important. And the Sheriff's Department, our maintenance people, our organizations, that's what makes it great. So keep up the good work, everyone. And do ask yourself, is there something I could be a part of that would maybe make a difference? So thank you, everyone in this room, anybody watching, but more importantly, all the people that are on the ground right now doing the things that make paradise paradise. Thank you.
Yeah, well, they take care of everything before it gets to me, but I do have a few things that I'll add. I wanted to personally thank all of the telecommunications officers all the way from 911 to our sheriff's office, and anybody who's in the dispatch field. Like the sheriff said, they are our first on the front line, dealing with a lot of that stuff, and what the sheriff said about how they can handle calls without ever dispatching other services is amazing that they have that skill and skill set to talk through these situations and sometimes rectify them before law enforcement has to get involved. So definitely honored to be able to have these proclamations, especially dealing with corrections officers. We've all had a tour of the place over there, and we just like touring it. I want to visit it, so and be a resident. It is although you do have a phenomenal staff, I like sleeping in my bed at night. So Sheriff, y'all run a great operation over there. It's amazing to see the progress that's being made on the new facility that's going to eliminate some of the cluster over there and make our jail more habitable for the inmates that are there, and with a state-of-the-art facility. Thank you to all the corrections officers who perform those tasks on a daily basis. Your frontline and first responders just as well. A Law Enforcement Memorial Week, that has always been near and dear to all of our hearts. Even though it's not something we look forward to doing, it's always a great honor to celebrate these men and women who gave the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. And when we assemble there in Robertsdale, it's always a very sobering, somber experience to be a part of. And Sheriff, y'all do a great job honoring those who have fallen, and what an honor to be able to go to DC and be able to be a part of that ceremony where they're going to add the 3 other names there, because it is definitely a recognition for those people, and as well as those of us that are still here that support the community and their families. It was even hard reading that proclamation especially. So thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Sheriff deputies. Thank you, everybody involved in law enforcement throughout this county and country for what you do on a daily basis, leaving the house and not knowing if you're going to even come back home. It's a selfless job. The Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month and Sexual Assault Prevention and Awareness Month, this is... We're honored to have advocates here in this county that deal with this. It's like Commissioner Underwood says, a tragedy that this happens. Unfortunately, it's going to happen, and we have the people in the place in this county that makes a difference in these children's lives. Sometimes I come into contact with these children who are now grown-up adults, and I've done a lot of studies on this because in my other line of work, teaching substance abuse education classes, you find that there's a large percentage of people that are coming through my doors that have had a past with either physical abuse, neglect, and or sexual abuse. One of the number one reasons why they are using drugs and alcohol to self-medicate to numb the pain. We open up a dialogue in the class, and of course this doesn't have anything to do with domestic violence, but for instance, a lady would come up to me and say, I need some help. I've been scared my whole life. Been running with this guy. He's doing this and this and this to me. And is there any way that you can direct me into the right place? And she doesn't even have a cell phone because usually her perpetrator will control that kind of stuff and won't let her have communication devices. And I would let her use my phone, and I always call the lighthouse, and it's kind of weird when I call them. I have to say who I am, and they kind of hesitant. I say, I've got somebody I need you to talk to. They're having issues, and without missing a beat, they come to the rescue and help out anybody that I bring to them, and I do it with a range of things. I've gotten people in touch with the sheriff's office and sexual abuse investigators and stuff when I come across things. So we're all advocates in this. We all support what you do. We're all in my line of work, not just this business, but my other business. I constantly are looking out for those warning signs, because these people need to seek help. And the best way to do it is to be able to talk about it with other groups of people that have similar issues. And Lighthouse, all these entities that were mentioned in that proclamation are instrumental in helping this. I want to say that, correct me if I'm wrong, I may get this number right, but I saw where the average age of a person to come forth with that they have been sexually abused as a child is 52. I could be wrong. It's just a number that I came across and that I share, but that's the average age that somebody may come forth and say, and that's how long they live with this this tragedy that's happened. So thank you for allowing us to, it's an honor to have this proclamation in place as well, Commissioners. Confederate History Month, Billy Joe stole my thunder on that. I love this, when we do this every month. We do miss Bert. We were, one of these days, hoping we had one of those old recordings and we can go back and get it and play it. And if you want to sit here for about 30 minutes, 40 minutes and listen to one of the old Bert presentations. Commissioner Underwood and I were at Blakely the other day, and I would encourage everybody to go out to Blakely and to take their tour. We got the tour of the facility, and it's something. I mean, I've lived here my whole life, and I've never really been through the park like that before. It's actually amazing to be in the middle of the battlefield there, where the actual battle took place, and the most cleared out spot to where you can see both lines that came in there and how they stood up. Mike Bunn and the staff out there does a phenomenal job. He is full of history and with his mind, and can tell you every little single thing that happened at Blakely, all the way back to when the Native Americans inhabited that land as well. So I encourage everybody to go there. National Library Week, I'm excited that our library is up and going, and we have great people that work there. Everybody, I'm not like Commissioner Underwood. I'll be honest, I don't use the library that much. I got scared away from that when I was in school. I don't like thinking about Dewey Decimal Systems and card catalogs and doing research papers.
That's gone.
Sorry to all my teachers out there that may be watching this, but I had my dad do most of that stuff for me because he was fun. He was smarter than I was. So anyway, I got through school though. But anyway, that's all we've got to say about those, all the proclamations that we did. Commissioners, thank you for allowing me to do it the way we did it down there. I know it's a long standing up down there, but I felt like doing a little something different this morning. Next up on our agenda, we have not addressed this. Item CA5 is the wayfinding signing and county facilities. We had a presentation yesterday done. That presentation is not here this morning. As for the public, we had a presentation from a presenter yesterday at our work session that has given us ideas and solutions for wayfinding signs to make our county facilities more accessible to the public. So stay tuned for future signages and stuff like that we may come up with. So that was just a presentation done yesterday at the work session. It will not be done this morning. Did y'all want to say anything about the wayfinding presentation?
And I think it's something we really need to look at, getting our signage a little bit better so people can understand where they got to go and how you got to get there,
Absolutely.
And people do rely on signage, and especially in buildings, so.
Yeah, I'll say one real quick. I think it's very important to have good signage. Joey's sitting here. I'm just going to tell him what he always tells me. Too many signs and people don't pay attention to them. That was like on the highway, and it can be the same thing. And people walk into Central Annex, there's signs everywhere, hanging from the ceiling, on the wall, and everything. So I think it's so important that we have this study done, and that these people can help us because that's what they do.
Right.
So I think it'll be beneficial to get the right signs.
I didn't see this in there yesterday, and then it was kind of weird that he didn't present this, but in our main facilities like Central Annex, Fairhope, where people are just walking into a big hallway, kiosks are usually a good thing. Right when you walk in the door, if there's a kiosk right there, I can remember the first time I went over there to Owa, and I had no idea where to go for restaurants and stuff. I went to the kiosk and found the locations of things. So maybe we can work on some type of electronic kiosk that would, in today's time, or we could just do, instead of a touch screen or something, we could do just something that directs a color code system with the signs, having different areas, maybe it be A, B, C, D, E, or whatever, and have those color coded. But we'll brainstorm and think, just to let the citizens know, we're constantly working to make the accessibility of our buildings, as Commissioner Davis says, if we get bigger, we're going to get better. And so I think we are behind the times and the signs, not to make a rhyme out of something, but that does sound cool. I may put that on my Facebook page today.
Well, one thing too, if signs are not, eye level, people don't have a tendency to look up. They're kind of always looking down. If it's not eye level, people miss a lot of it.
Well, I think
they don't want to look up.
I think it's significant too to create some color code sort of things. I mean, so many people are new to our county. I mean, where is the probate office? How many do we have? And if the signs always are the same color, then you know to go to the green place or you know to go to the yellow place. And the revenue office, the probate office, and then the court systems. We try to do signage. My assistant, Michelle Howard, is the first door on the left. And even with signage, she directs traffic in effect. But that's what we're there for, is to help people find what they're looking for. But signage is important. I'm an advocate of highway signs being in the road. I don't want to be looking like this going down the interstate. I kind of like to know if I'm in the right lane or where this lane's going to take me. So signage is something that you constantly have to look at. And then I think we need to talk to some of our new citizens that have come in. We'll find out how they do it in other states. That doesn't mean that's the best way, but they may be able to tell us something that those of us that live here maybe kind of just know where it is. So the signage is something that we've got to constantly work on.
I think so. I mean, this is our not central, this is our home base here. Mm-hmm. The administration building and everything. You would be surprised how many people cannot find this place.
That's right.
It's ridiculous. So we're I don't know how. I mean, we need to up on top of this building maybe a big old sign.
Right here.
Some kind of flashing thing or something. So I don't know. We're working on this, guys, and we had a great presentation yesterday. Gave us some great ideas, and we will be steadily working on that. We have no public hearings today. We have our committee reports. We've got Commissioner Gruber, who is our finance chair, who's going to keep the lights going for us.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I want to make a motion we pay bills totaling $15,721,706.72, with the exception of those vendors commissioners requested to be pulled, which are listed in the Baldwin County accounts of payable. I don't think there's any. And of that amount, $9,607,440.91 is payable to the Baldwin County Board of Education, and $710,837.48 is payable to the Gulf Shores Board of Education for their portion of the county sales and use tax.
I'll second the finance chairman's motion.
All right, so we've got a motion by Commissioner Gruber to pay the bills, and we've got a second by Commissioner Davis. Any discussion in this matter? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item EA2 is the notification of interim payments approved by clerk treasurer is allowed under policy 8.1. It takes care of itself. Now we're down to our other staff recommendations. Commissioners this is where we were at the work session yesterday, and notice some, you'll see in red what we need to do on some of these. The first one that we're going to address is item FA1. This is a resolution that we agreed on, the tax abatement agreement for E-Covery LLC. Commissioners will have a motion on item FA1.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we adopt resolution number 2022-070 and tax abatement agreement with E-Covery LLC.
I'll second that.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Gruber, a second by Commissioner Davis to approve item FA1, which is resolution 2022-070 and tax abatement agreement, E-Covery LLC. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, next up is item FA2. Note, Commissioners, when we make this motion, please say the names that are listed here. I need a motion on FA2. This is the Baldwin County Eastern Shore Health Care Authority Board.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the Baldwin County Eastern Shore Health Care Authority Board recommended nominees by the board, Mr. Clarence Bishop, Dr. Richard Rowe, and Ms. Tommy Conway.
And I'll second that.
All right, we've got a motion and a second to approve item FA2, which appoints the selected nominees to the Baldwin County Eastern Shore Healthcare Authority Board, which is Mr. Clarence Bishop, Dr. Richard A. Rowe, and Ms. Tommy Conway. All those in favor, Conaway. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Next up is item FA3. This is Resolution 2022-068. This is the name change and restructuring of the Baldwin County Animal Control Advisory Board.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution number 2022-068, which amends resolution 2017-112, approving the following changes relating to the Baldwin County Animal Control Advisory Board. And then effective with the meeting changes and the name from the Baldwin County Control Advisory Board to the Baldwin County Animal Control Advisory Committee.
I'll second it.
All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Gruber, second by Commissioner Underwood to approve resolution 2022-068.
Question, Mr. Chairman, should that say committee rather than board?
Well, I think that was the name.
It does away
It's
with
the
the board.
restructuring of the board.
It does away with the board and makes it a committee.
Okay, that's what I was,
Once we vote on it, we'll never call it that again.
okay, all right. Just want to make sure.
So we got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Now it's a committee.
Now it's committee.
Okay.
Now we
I
can
looked at
change
my
the
old
name,
notes
right?
and saw the word committee across it.
All righty, let's go to, we're now up to the revision of the Baldwin County Policy 2.6 Alcohol License Application. This has been pulled from the agenda. We'll be bringing it back on April 19th to approve additional revisions to the policy as we discussed at our work session. Item FA5, this was the petition by citizens for noise ordinance. We pulled this from the agenda and we brought back at a future meeting to discuss. FA6 was our logo options for the launch of the ICW. We don't even need action on that. Matter of fact, I think Taylor sent out a thing yesterday with already a new logo on it. It looked good. Great job. FA7 was a discussion topic yesterday that we discussed our public information officer duties. We worked through that. FI1, as remembered yesterday, the Little River Nutrition Center, we took care of that in our consent agenda as well when we voted on Kelly's request for her personnel to start handling the Little River Nutrition Center. Ron, do you think we need to vote on the county taking over that until we find a manager?
If you like, Mr. Chairman, we can bring it to the next meeting.
Okay, we'll just bring that to the next meeting.
Just not today, but I mean, we can do that next meeting and just confirm it.
Okay.
That we're taking that over.
Okay. So next, we have, we had a presentation yesterday. We need to vote on the amendments on FM1 for the ERAP. Do y'all want to, we talked about this yesterday, and the presentation that was presented to us recommended that, we look at all 5 amendments that were done. So if you have it pulled up on your screen, commissioners, if you would make the motion that's going to take care of those amendments. I don't think, is there anything you need to add before we do this? Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we adopt staff recommendation on item FM1 and take all of the 5 amendments that are recommended by staff.
And I second that motion.
We got a motion and a second to approve FM1, which is amendments to the ERAP program. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, as discussed yesterday, Commissioners, we have county levies for alcohol licenses. When you approve this item, it would approve our staff recommendation that approves the new fees.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we levy the alcohol license fees for Baldwin County, and including the new license types, which include number 250 wine festival license is $50. Wine festival participation license is $15. Direct wine shipper is $200. Wine fulfillment center is $500. Additional wine fulfillment centers is $100. In-state winery and off-site tasting permit is $50.
Okay.
That's the new ones that will be added to the list.
Okay. Commissioners, we got a motion by Commissioner Gruber.
I'll second that.
We got a second by Commissioner Davis to approve these new levies on alcohol licenses. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Remember, from yesterday's work session, we discussed approving the request from Ocean Nick to use the 45-foot by 100-foot area at the Lillian Boat Launch for property as temporary staging equipment / storage for the Florida Department of Transportation project for approximately 3 months from May 15th to August 15th. We looked at this yesterday. We saw that it was out of the way. As Mr. Peacock told us yesterday, or maybe Joey, I can't remember, somebody that showed us a picture of a fence that was going up that was kind of covering this up so it's not an eyesore to the public, and we need a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the request from Oceanic USA Incorporated for the portion of the Lillian Boat Launch temporary storage.
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Commissioner Gruber, second by Commissioner Davis to approve item FP1. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next up, we have our FR1. This is going to be a presentation that would be brought back to our April 19th meeting by our Environmental Advisory Committee. Now, we're up to a commissioner requests. Do y'all have any requests that are different from yesterday's request?
I know.
No, and I want to commend the staff because I mentioned the request yesterday, and before I got through, I had both of the things I'd asked for. So thank you very much, Ron, for getting that.
We all had it. I had it too.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So we got it.
Yeah.
We got it. Good job on that.
Exactly.
Thank you. Next, we have addenda. We have a, for your recollections yesterday, Commissioners, we talked about the petition for the establishment of the Good Morning Neighbor Cemetery right here in Bay Minette, Alabama. It's right off of Horseneck Road down Clara May Smith Road. And this was the one that I went and looked at and said it was okay, and we're going to vote on this contingent upon the Health Department's recommendation. Well, this morning we received approval from the Health Department, so everything is good for this cemetery. We just need to vote on it.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve adopt for the cemetery petition.
And I'll second that.
We got a motion and a second to approve the petition for establishment of Good Morning Neighbor Cemetery in Bay Minette, Alabama, Baldwin County, Alabama. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay. Next up, Ron, do you have anything? Do we have any senior staff report in this meeting?
No, sir, we covered it all yesterday. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for what you do. Anybody else out there, senior staff, whether it's Cayenne or Brian or Joey, whoever, anybody want to say anything? Okay. You're losing your spot. Brad, do we have anything today, or did we take care of it all yesterday?
No, sir, nothing today. Thank you.
Thank you. No county attorney's report. That's always a good thing. When we don't have a county attorney's report, it means we're staying in line with things. Any comments from the public? Thank you, Jeff, for enduring our meeting today.
That's right.
With Jeff Smith with Alabama Power. Thank you. Thank you for all your help that you've been doing, ensuring that this jail project goes unhinged, because you have stepped up, and your presence and stuff that you have accomplished over there sped some things up. So I appreciate your partnership with us and the sheriff's office. We got press questions. Anybody want to say that they're a reporter or anything and ask us some questions? All right, nobody out there today. Commissioner comments. Start with Commissioner Underwood.
Thank everybody for everything that you do. I know it's a lot to get to this point, and it might seem like it's just on, I don't know how many pages we're sitting here looking at, but that's a lot goes into this, and you guys do a phenomenal job. Someone told me I didn't thank people enough. I don't know how to thank you more than to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. If I could, rent one of them planes that fly around the county and say thank you for all you do, you guys do it. So other than that, it was great to have all the people that are here today. As the pastor that was saying the prayer this morning says, we're entering upon the Easter season. That's that season that, you know what, we as Christians got so much to be thankful for. So thank you, guys.
Commissioner Gruber?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. First, I got something I want to show you.
Can you pick it up?
Don't drop it now.
This is pretty. But this is from the South Alabama Regional Planning Commission. It's the Norman J. Walton Senior Regional Award for the Outstanding Member Government, which is Baldwin County in 2022. And this award was given to Baldwin County for their work during the COVID times. And, when we worked with BOAD and all these other agencies, the EMA, I mean, they're just, the thing goes on, the list went on and on of people that support us in this the COVID thing. So we were chosen to get this award, and so I accepted it on behalf of the Baldwin County Commission at their annual meeting, which was taking place at the Grand Hotel. So if y'all don't mind, I'm going to display this in Foley for a little while.
I'm sure you will.
That's a heavy piece of glass.
It can start there.
Taylor, we may want to, after the meeting's over with, since we wasn't at that event, we have some other things we had to do. Let's grab a picture of all four of us holding that thing somehow or another. So,
Mr. Chairman, I'll add a little quick comment on that. I was there the next day for the meeting, and they were still talking about the Baldwin Together, and they said that was one of the best displays of collaboration that they have seen in a very, very long time. So all of the staff members who were part of that, you guys know who were part of that, and thank you for bringing that so that it could happen in Baldwin County, and we do appreciate that.
Yep. And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to go ahead and finish my stuff. I want to thank the staff for all that they do. And, without them, we wouldn't be able to get our agenda finished. And so thank them for that, and all the men and women that we have working for us for all the things that they do. We've had some crazy weather here lately, and, everybody was Johnny on the spot, checking everything. And, our department was out, EMA was out, and, we were very fortunate. We did have one tornado that went through Baldwin County. It touched down and just very close to where Commissioner Underwood lives, and it took up, tore up a couple of brand new irrigation systems, went across and hit in downtown Robertsdale and tore up the Campbell's Hardware a little bit and several other damages all through the thing. And I think it ended up in Rosington, if I'm not mistaken. But, we were very fortunate nobody was hurt or nobody was killed. So that's a good thing. And again, thank y'all for what you do. Y'all what makes Baldwin County tick.
Mr. Davis.
Yes, I want to, apologize to the other proclamation recipients that I failed to recognize. I get so caught up in law enforcement and with a granddaughter that I only commented on that, but the child abuse prevention, like I said earlier and like I'll continue to say, things you care about, get involved in. And if you don't understand something, ask questions, because the only way we can get better as we get bigger is for all of us to get more informed. And things change, so we need to be on top of what the latest things are. The library, History Month, I'm a buff about that. I still go back to Prince Madoc and the Welch explorer that came up to Mobile Bay 200 years before Christopher Columbus. So it's interesting where we came from, and we are here because of all the folks that went before us, and we need to be mindful of that. The libraries, I, like Billy Joe, had an opportunity to speak to classes, and our media needs to go and see some of the things that we've seen, because on the news, we tend to only hear about young people and all the bad things they do. Folks, let me tell you, there is a lot of good going on by our young people, by our schools, and somehow we've got to make sure that the, quote, average citizen knows that. If you have a child in school, you know that. If you are involved in a school, you know that. But a lot of what gets put on the media makes it sound like that we don't have anything good going on. And I'm here to tell you, had back-to-back meetings, had to go to Montgomery. We were talking millions of dollars. The next day I was to speak to a class. Over the weekend, I spent way more time getting prepared for that class than I did from Montgomery, because I knew that it was an opportunity for me to learn something and for them to learn something. And when you get a chance, get involved in your school, elementary, whether your kids are there or not. And the power company does a great job in communicating what's going on. And I'm all about what's next for us, for the county, for our kids, and for our country. So I too want to thank everybody. This is as fine a team as there can be, because I've been blessed to work in a lot of big organizations with a lot of diverse requirements and duties. And I can honestly say that this group, top to bottom, is the best I've ever been a part of, and I'm so proud to be a small part of. So keep up the good work, everybody, and sing out when you need something, and the four of us will try to figure out how to do it. And please, if you know anybody at FEMA, tell them to do their job. Thank you.
So today was a great meeting. I think the proclamation set the tone. We got a lot to be in the presence of a lot of great individuals and hear from them. I get to work here in this building with the staff that puts the agenda together. And when you're chairman, they keep you kind of 90-0 too. So I know how hard all these women behind this door work. And I've been here sitting in the office more than I normally do, just kind of catching up on some things and stuff. And I tell you, it's a fine running machine back there, and anywhere that we've got offices on. It's just thank everybody for what you do. This agenda was large, very large. I don't know exactly how many pages I knew was in the agenda. 750 something pages in this agenda. So we're only seeing a few when you just get this, but there's a lot behind that, and they have to put every bit of that in there. And and they always make fun of me because I'll get halfway down the road and need to come back and sign something. And I was even so worried yesterday when I left the work session, I thought I forgot to sign everything. So there's a lot of moving parts of this, and like we always say, we're a very small part of something special. Touching on the Easter season, we're always reminded this time of the year, there's so many reflections that we can look at and sights that we look at, and spring is the time where you see all this stuff that looks dead and dormant come back to life, and that's a representation of what Easter is all about. A Christian would not be a Christian without the resurrection. So that's what our faith hinges on. We sit under "In God We Trust," and so we do trust that He gave us a good word in the book that we read, and the story of the resurrection is very powerful. It has so many meanings in everybody's lives to where, I'm reading an encouragement thing here that Mel Hacker sends us from the Sheriff's Department all the time. They're always good, but a lot of people, a lot of us struggle in life, and sometimes we feel dead inside. We feel not appreciated or something like that, but if we can just turn our head to what's guiding us, then we come back to life, and it's just evident. I look at things in different ways now, being grounded in a faith, and I look at things like, say hydrangeas, for instance, or other types of flowers that look like crap all year long, but then when the spring comes, they are blooming beautifully, and it's just a picturesque, perfect scene of what is to come. So we've got a lot of great things coming up. Stay tuned. I almost was thinking, Brian, I know this is probably opening up the doors for something, but how sometimes I hear, when we have public comments section, maybe not the public is always here. What if we designed a way to be able to, I know we couldn't do all of them because some of them are hateful that's coming in on Facebook, but if there's some people that's commenting on our Facebook live stream and has got questions, maybe either you or somebody from CIS staff could say, come up to the podium and say, hey, we've got these questions that the citizens would like answered, and I'd like to answer them live on the meeting if they're watching it, rather than somebody sending them a message back on Facebook. Maybe that's just something that we could do. You can screen them for us, and if it's hate mail and all that stuff, we'll deal with that in a different way. But I was thinking about that when, nobody ever's here from the public that wants to comment, and I don't think it's that they don't care, but maybe they're watching us online, and the comment section there, if they have a question, they could ask us the question, and we could get the answer back to them live on the stream. So let's work on something like that. I'm just brainstorming while I'm up here. But thank you, Commission, for enduring this meeting today. With all that being said, we don't have any executive sessions today. I was trying to talk until we got to 10 o'clock, but I'm not going to make it. Now it's 9:57. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn this session.
We got a motion to adjourn. I'm going to need a second to get somewhere with it, okay? I got a second by Commissioner Underwood, and all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. 9:57.